Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe, where today we're going to be going back to the weapon released last week, the Caustacyst, and do a bit of a revised build. This is due to a hotfix that came out last week that removed a feature that got me very excited originally, which was that guaranteed /proc on the charge attack. When combined with a whole bunch of things, was very strong, well, extremely strong, to the point where with the right setup it was one-shotting level 140 bombards and heavy gunners. Now, with that removed, how does that affect the actual weapon? It does reduce the charge attack's range stuff to being gloop on the floor that does a very small amount of damage per second to the enemy, plus the projectile that has something like a 30 or 40% chance to proc something. It does still open up enemies to finishers, sometimes. For some reason this seems to be fairly hit or miss as to whether it does anything at all. It seems to be very inconsistent, and I'm not sure whether this is due to certain animation states that break it, but it does seem to be a thing, especially when you've got fire procs, which are very known to break a lot of mods that require finishes. So with this change to the charge attack, has this affected the way I modded it? The answer is yes, it has. Firstly, I got rid of the channeling build that I was using to buff that /proc. The charge attack range thing's just not worth modding for now specifically, and going for channeling damage instead of elementals for me just doesn't make sense. So I've got my fairly standard build now on here. Stalking Fan, we got the stance. I like the spin attack it does as part of its standard E combo. I got Prime Pressure Point, Prime Fury, Prime Reach. I like Prime Reach, it gives that extra little bit of range and just helps us land some more of these shots. We have the brand new Nightmare mod, Drifting Contact, where you lose 2 seconds from body count, but you gain an extra 40% status chance. Fantastic mod. We also have Weeping Wounds to work with that to increase our status chance as our combo counter goes up. And then we got 3 90% elemental mods for maximum damage. Like I say, it's pretty much my standard build for status weapons, where that status chance is high enough that I don't need to buff it with more dual stat elemental status mods. So, do I like the Caustacyst after the bug where the /proc was fixed, and do I think it needs to be fixed at all? The answer is that, you know what, I still do. I refuse to call this mastery fodder that quite a few people have told me since the change that it is now. Because used in a way where you combine the standard attack with the charge attack, you can still kill more efficiently with this than quite a few weapons. In fact, you can still outkill anything in the Scythe class with these, and they're all quick weapons. In fact, you can outkill quite a lot of weapons still. Okay, it's not top tier anymore, but that doesn't automatically make it crap. It doesn't compete with any Mamie Strike Blood Rush weapons, not even close, but then not much does. However, it does compete with any melee outside of that specific combo, because of that charge attack opening up to finishes, and the gloop on the floor holds the enemies in place. I think part of the problem is that in general, people don't like charge attacks. I am honestly one of them. I feel they're too slow to pull off, by which time your team has already slaughtered them anyway, especially since there's never been an expansion on charge attacks. There's no mods decreasing charge time, no mods increasing charge damage, or anything like that. Like channeling, it was introduced and then kind of forgotten about, and never really expanded upon. But for a lot of people it feels too clunky to pull off regularly, and the amount of times you try and pull it off and then just get stuck in some animation you don't want, and then end up not pulling off the charge attack at all anyway, or you try and charge it up and all of a sudden you get knocked down, which wastes the charge attack. This is actually one of the few charge attack weapons that still does feel rewarding to use, because it opens them up to finishes, provided you haven't blocked the finisher using a heat proc. But it is still a decent weapon. Actually, yes, it is still good. But all of this begs the question, do I think it deserved the removal of the /proc, which is something you guys have all asked me about. The thing about that /proc is that it gave an effective counter to the armor scaling in the game. The damage that ignores armor, the proc, the bleed damage. But more than that, it was interesting. It allowed the charge attack weapon to compete with the highest level melee weapons. It gave us new and interesting builds. I mean, come on, when was the last time you really saw me modding to try and increase the base damage to buff the /proc from a charge attack? Removing that /proc removed any of the interesting builds from this weapon. Was it strong? Oh yeah, of course it was. Was it overpowered? No. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't. It was a super strong attack tied to a mechanic where you spend 2 or 3 seconds charging the weapon, trying not to die at the high level that everyone was one-shotting, trying not to have your teammates kill everything you're charge attacking before you release it, plus you have to actually hit the attack, which is not easy in the main game. It is very easy in the simulacrum like I showed, but it's not quite as easy in a normal map. Plus, surely a weapon with a mechanic that not only needed a very specific build on a maxed out weapon, but also a very specific type of ability on a maxed out frame to make it sing like it did. In a day and age where we got other crit based melee that killed just as effectively as that charge attack did, and we've also got covert lethality, how does this exactly rate as overpowered? But hey, you know what, the slash proc that we built for on day one is gone. We're just going to have to get on with it now. However, that does not mean the weapon sucks. It's still corrosive base damage, one of the very few. High status chance on a charge attack that opens up enemies to finishers. Whether or not you hate the change to the slash proc, give the weapon a chance without it. Okay, modding wise it's not as interesting anymore, but it is still pretty decent and still looks incredible. So I hope you've enjoyed my quick look back over the course. I don't usually do a second look at a weapon so close to release, but since it was a major thing that got changed, which changed all my builds, I thought it deserved it and needed it. Feel free to leave your comments and queries in the comments below. Remember to smash that like button to subscribe if you like my content. As always, I shall see you in the next video.